listening to the Life of Lozo podcast.
We are live here at Life of Lozo.
He is the funniest, smartest, sexiest guy I
know. Lozo is now live.
Yo, on this episode, I review the album PRhyme 2 with the help of Ghost Bama, a.k.a. Casper the Ghost, a.k.a. Kasama Bin Rappin'. We have difficulty trying to discuss it live on Facebook, but we pull off the episode and review anyways. Thank you to our sponsors, Stay Tuned Studios, The Taylor Shop Inc., 03 Productions, A. Charles Photos, The Beat Brigade, Rhyme Designs Clothing, Ronz Guitars, The Music Experience, Custom Shirts and more, The Art of Kyle Willis, and of course, Jack Nutrition. Let's go. Yo, Life of Lozo podcast, live, super late night on a Friday night. It is Friday, and we typically go live with the podcast on Friday mornings, but after a couple of conversations and talking to some people, we decided to do something a little bit cool and bring on, a different style here. We're going to do a little album review on PRhyme 2, and Mr. Kasama Bin Rappin', a.k.a. Casper the Ghost, a.k.a. Ghost Bama. I'm going to pop him on this call real quick here shortly, and we're going to talk a little bit about PRhyme 2. So I hope you guys tune in. I know it's a super late night. The good news is that we're going to have our convo here, and then we're going to go ahead and do our thing and post this up as the podcast. So PRhyme 2 is the topic at hand here. And it's what we're going to talk about tonight, and then post up for the podcast later on. Let me move some stuff around on my desktop here and get my notes together so we can have some conversation. For those of you that don't know, so while we're figuring out this end of the live call, PRhyme 2 is the second studio album from the now American hip-hop duo of Royce da 5'9" and DJ Premier. And this is the second album they've done. And the concept on these albums is that they take samples composed by other producers and they kind of rework them into their production style from a Primo standpoint. So Primo reworks these other producers' sounds into beats, and then Royce da 5'9" spits over the vast majority of them. Of course, this album is producer Ant-Man Wonder is the dude that they utilized, and there's a bunch of guests on this album: 2 Chainz, Big Crit, CeeLo, Dave East, Mr. Porter, Rock Marciano, Yellow Wolf, among others are on this album. Rhapsody's on this album too. So it's a pretty dope album, but that's kind of the concept of it. So similar to the Eminem album review, I wanted to kind of go through this one as well. What's up, Squiggy? What's up, brother? Thanks for popping on real quick, man. What's up, Kaz? What's the deal? So PRhyme 2. So as I was saying, I'm a huge Royce da 5'9" fan. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased coming from Detroit. Obviously, like I said before, I'm an Eminem fan. And, the cool thing about Royce is I think there's a lot of artists, there's a lot of history there, and he was one of the few that I believe can get on a track with an Eminem, can get on a track with his group with Slaughterhouse, and actually challenge MCs to be better and push MCs to be better just simply by his lyrical content and the way that he writes songs. So for me, like that's probably the thing that I appreciate most about him is his ability to write lyrics and to write songs. Yes, he's put a lot of mixtapes out, and quite honestly, I think some of his mixtapes are actually like when he truly shines, because there's no there's no filtering of what he wants to do. There's no worried about having to actually build out hip hop songs. It's mostly just bars on bars. Sometimes he does acapellas. Sometimes he's flipping over remixes of other instrumentals. Sometimes it's just straight up songs that eventually make it onto albums. But I'm being a Royce fan, it was kind of one of those things where it was like, man, if he could really just link up with a producer and do some really, really cool shit. And, you know, he did a couple things. He did some ghostwriting for Dre when M went to Interscope and stuff. But when he, you know, the early on rumors was that he was working with Primo to do some stuff with him. And then, of course, like Boom came out, and that really, you know, a true boom bap, you know, style of hip hop and his voice and how he does that is a totally perfect scenario. It's a totally perfect partnership with him and Primo. And so when Boom came out, it kind of set the standard for what was possible, in my opinion, of you know, really Royce, his style over East Coast boom bap. I thought was super duper dope. So when they came out with PRhyme, the first album, I was super excited. You know, it was kind of like an EP. It didn't have a whole bunch of tracks on it, and then they came out with like an extended version later on, which was really sick. But I was a fan. I really appreciated that work. I appreciated that album. I thought it was a fantastic concept. So when, of course, I heard PRhyme 2 was dropping, I was super excited and was looking forward to it. And then obviously it's been out for I think just a little over a week now or so. And I think it was was it like the 18th that it came out? The 16th is when it dropped. So I figured it was kind of timely, you know, give me a chance to run through the album a handful of times, not just a one run through. And then, of course, having conversation with Casper, you know, around him listening to it and him sharing it on social media, I figured it'd be kind of cool for us to pop on and go. A couple things about PRhyme 2. Number one, you know, there's a lot of callbacks to some really classic, you know, and of course with Premier being the producer, I would expect that we're going to hear and feel that 90s era, golden era, you know, golden decade of hip hop style of production, and some of those callbacks. But what I also thought was kind of cool was, you know, Royce did a lot of playing in, you know, tipping his hat to certain styles, certain songs, and layering them into some of the songs that he did in PRhyme 2. As an example, the track "Gotta Love It," you know, that reminds me of early Jay-Z, the "Can I Live" from Reasonable Doubt, kind of the intro pianos, that live style kind of music. And it kind of a talk rap on top of that track. But right when I heard that "Gotta Love It" song came on, that was the first thing I was thinking, like, that reminds me of think about it. Oh yeah, you know, "Can I Live" from Reasonable Doubt. So like, I appreciate that. And I think that, you know, Royce as an MC, you know, the way that he can change his style to fit the beat is something pretty cool. He's got a unique voice. He's got a very patterned style that fits on East Coast tracks very, very well. Boom bap tracks very, very well. What's up, Stark? Thanks for hopping on, bro. But that style of music and that kind of feel of that early Jay-Z stuff, I completely love. The "Without Warning," the "Wow" song, you know, that's to me probably one of the illest Primo beats. What's up, Styles? Matt Styles, what's going on, brother? We're talking PRhyme 2. And Chris Stark always representing the white guys who love to listen to the show and be on the show, but don't have a whole bunch of hip hop background, but always representing. I appreciate that. But the "Wild" track for me, you know, it was just a sick beat that Primo laced on there. And, you know, Royce and Yellow Wolf, you know, it's funny. I was a big Yellow Wolf fan when he dropped the first couple of albums. What's up, Sean? Welcome to the show, bro. We're talking PRhyme 2. What's up, Tyler? Shout out, bro. Thanks for hopping on, cuz. We're talking PRhyme 2. But Yellow Wolf, I was a fan of, you know, when he first dropped out. I liked the style. I liked the fact that he was representing kind of Alabama and keeping it, you know, genuine to who he is and what he does and how he spits. So I really, really like the fact that, like, you know, Yellow Wolf is on there. And I think it kind of put Royce into a place where he was his patterns and his style was very reminiscent of late 90s Eminem. You know, when Eminem first dropped, coming off of the Slim Shady EP, Slim Shady LP, him and Royce doing Bad Meets Evil, like that style Eminem, I thought that Royce really, encompassed that. And I hate to even say that it was an Eminem style, because at that time, that was like Eminem and Royce, like that was their style. Obviously, Eminem, became the much larger artist, and people, tend to really lock that in there. But at the end of the day, like that's Royce's patterning style as well, coming out of Detroit. But I really enjoyed that song. Squigs, man. Of course, you and Kool-Aid. We always appreciate original white guys talking hip hop on the golden decade of hip hop. The second song that I want to talk about is what's up, Ron? What's going on? Ron's World Guitars, y'all. Check them out. Ron's World Guitars. Dude, I saw the miniature guitars you're putting out for the festivals this year. Those are super badass, bro. And the guitars you did for the movie, Jesus Christ, I can't remember the damn movie. I just saw the thing from Ibanez today. The director of the movie was giving you a shout out on the dope ass guitars. But thanks for hopping on, bro. Rim, what is it? Pacific Rim. That's what it was. Yeah, Ron's World headphones. Come on, dude. Representing all times, always. Those are the official headphones of the Life of Lozo podcast. But the next song I want to talk about is "Flirt" featuring 2 Chainz. It's a cool concept. It's dope. 2 Chainz really delivers on the song. I like how he kind of has a lot of comedy in his flow, and he works through that stuff. What I also appreciated, as I was mentioning earlier, was kind of a callback to Lucchini, Campolo Lucchini. The rhyming pattern that Royce has got in there is a little bit of part of the hook. That's kind of dope. I like that. I think it's a cool track. I think it's a cool concept. And it's kind of fun to hear 2 Chainz on like a Primo beat, and so like the interesting thing about this concept with Primo flipping these these samples from like Ant-Man Wonder on this and like other producers is that it kind of forces him to, I think, approach the way that he does his boom bap in a little bit of a different style, and I like that. I think it's cool. I think like I'm a huge fan of when they do like record roulette, where they have producers go into record stores and they got a blindfold, go through a crate of records, and whatever they pick up, they got to take back to the studio, put it on the turntable, and then pull samples from it, and then they sample it into their own style. So like for me, this PRhyme concept is like that at a whole nother level, which I think is super duper dope. So like I'm a fan of just that concept in general. And to come out with a song like "Flirt" and have 2 Chainz on that kind of a track, I think it felt right. So you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Casper, I just saw that video today of them doing "Flirt" on Jimmy Fallon, and it was cool. Royce was in like a khaki suit with a flower shirt on underneath it, looking kind of fresh. And then, of course, when 2 Chainz came out with enough diamonds to cause a problem, and it was cool to hear the crowd in the background really be into it. But yeah, that was a dope ass performance, man. It was cool. It's dope to see, fans, me being a fan and seeing a Primo on a late night TV show with Royce da 5'9". Like that's just like, I'm super happy that that's kind of where this music is taking it. And their ability to deliver that jazzy, bluesy kind of feel from a sampling standpoint is super duper duper dope. Respect My Gun, another song that's on there. That is to me the epitome of like listening to a Royce mixtape. that's totally his style. Not giving it a commercial style hook, not caring how it comes across, and having some fun with it. And spitting ridiculously silly analogies and entendres and stuff like that. Like literally, to me, that song is a callback to like what Royce would normally do on a mixtape, and I'm a fan of that. I like that type of freedom on those types of tracks. And then Loved Ones, another song that's on that album. What's up, Ashley? Thanks for hopping on. What's up, Jamie? Loved Ones, dope concept. and it reminds me of. And I've talked about this before, but Sporty Thieves. Sporty Thieves is a group out of the East Coast that had an album called Street Cinema that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s. And what they were known for at that time was they did the No Pigeons. Yeah, good night, Squiggy. Have a good one, man. See, Casper, you knew, dog, right? You knew it. I was bringing up Sporty Thieves because, yeah, like that Street Cinema album and that concept of like the idea of them going into a movie theater and then every song is a different movie that they're actually, and they're a part of that movie. It's a super, super dope ass concept. And they really only ever got props for that No Pigeon song, really, because of the whole No Scrubs thing from Destiny's Child at the time. But that concept in that album they did, to me, is probably one of my most favorites when you talk about conceptual albums. It's still sick to this day. I can still bump it, but it's one of those albums you got to listen to the whole thing. Started at the beginning so you can understand the concept. You have to listen to every song. You have to listen to every skit in between because they lead through the entire thing. But that Loved Ones track really reminded me of that storytelling cinema style album. So I just... I think it's super dope. Yeah, it's super sick ass song. And then the other song that for me was kind of a standout, was and I got to pull it up right now. The song that he did talking about like the beef that Joe Budden had. Man, it's talk about growing up in a different era. I'm pausing right now. What the hell was the name of that damn song? I would, Casper, I agree. Rhapsody, by far, the way that she dropped into that track, when I heard her come in, it reminded me of a Lauryn Hill. Oh, Everyday Struggle. Thank you. That's the song. I'll get on that in a second. When Rhapsody dropped on that track, it reminded me of an early on Lauryn Hill when she was just spit fire on some of the Fugees tracks, on the single she did on not just on the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill and that whole album, but the track that she did on Wyclef's album, and even then like an early Foxy Brown. And I know that like the vast majority of Foxy Brown stuff was all written by Jay-Z, but when she first dropped, like she just had that swagger sound voice about her where she just garnished attention. And for me, Rhapsody like encompasses all of those types of things, and she can spit. What's up, Eric? Thanks for hopping on, dog. Appreciate it, man. We're talking PRhyme 2 and do a little bit of album review here. So for me, I totally agree, Casper. Like Rhapsody by far, just getting in right now and getting the props that she deserves, doing the tours that she's on right now, doing the shows that she's doing right now. I think she's going to continue to dominate female hip hop. And if she pops on to, it's going to take a couple of singles. That's all she needs. A couple of singles on some big hits. That if she gets some attention, I think people are going to have to respect her as an MC. And I agree that she got nowhere to go but up. Which is totally dope. So something else that I did on the Eminem album review is I got a couple of categories as far as like kind of rating these things. So I've got a category around themes, so like the theme of the album and how true is it to the theme of the artist, lyrics, production value, replay value, and then overall value. So that's kind of what I'm talking about for this album, for PRhyme 2. So first of all, the theme. I mentioned this earlier, being a huge fan of like the record roulette concept, and like producers having to take, either blind choice or what they're doing right now, which is taking the sounds of another producer and then having to flip it into that style. I'm a huge fan of this concept and this theme, like huge. I think it's going to just continue to go, up and crazy from here. You're gonna get this feel. PRhyme 1 was the first PRhyme album was so different. It was a short EP. It came out with an extended version, but I think it changed the game a little bit, and people didn't know what to expect. And it was Royce and Primo, and this is so dope, so dope, so dope. So you're always gonna have the second album issue of can it live up to the first one, because it was such a different thing that they were doing. So while I feel that there'll be a lot of opinions on whether PRhyme 2 was as good as the first album or it's different, I think people will continue to listen to this over and over again. And there's some really, really good, dope ass gems. But from a theme standpoint, I got to go 4.5 out of 5, because just the theme of what they're doing in kind of refreshing what Primo does based on the production samples of other producers. I love this because I think it's stretching Primo to have to approach things a little bit differently. I think it's forcing him to take samples and songs and elements that he naturally probably wouldn't go and do. And he's having to learn how to flip these. And I think that as he's doing that, he's attracting the likes of these other artists that are popping on, like a 2 Chainz, that you normally wouldn't ever think that would be on a Primo style track. So thematically, as a theme, I got to give it a 4.5 out of 5. From a lyric standpoint, I mean, it's Royce. And so you're going to always get, the times when he wants to get on quick and he wants to battle people and he wants to be ridiculous with the schemes. And then you're going to get a couple of those silly ass little ones that like the haters and the hard reviewers will quote the ones they think that's cheesy, that's played out, that's whatever. But man, he's got some sick one-liners in there. He's got some sick, drops on there. I agree. Like Royce is the perfect selection for this concept because he can spit on every beat. Like any type of beat, he can do it all. And so like instead of thinking about like is it bar for bar, is it slaughterhouse style, is it what Eminem and Royce would do in Bad Meets Evil. I wholeheartedly feel holistically as an album, and I've listened to it now I think 5 times. I'm giving him 4 out of 5 on lyrics. 4 out of 5, which for me, the only little bit of room of improvement from a lyric standpoint was, man, I would have loved for him to do like a battle track. Like I would have loved for him to get raw on one of those songs and really go at somebody. What's up, Tyler? Love you too, cuz, man. Miss you, man. Come on down to Florida, bro. The door's always open, man. You know that. Come on down. We need some time to get down here. Come on down and hang out, bro. But I'm telling you, yeah, lyrics wise, that was the only thing missing for me on this album. If there was just one raw track where he really went in, that would have been dope. But I also understand, like he did what he talked about in Everyday Struggle. I was talking about that earlier, like him being open, him being honest, him being transparent, and him being like, look, I'm not trying to dig up all this beef. I'm not trying to hate on these young kids. I'm not trying to be that old rapper dude that wants to just be like mad at the young youth. He's actually trying to be mature in a lot of this. But man, I felt the same way about the Eminem album. Like, just give me that one. Give me that one where you're just pissed off and you want to go at somebody. I would be really happy. I'd be really happy about that. And that to me would move the lyrics from a 4 to a 5. I agree too, Casper, that the feel of the beats, the feel of the album, because it felt like there was a little bit more of like a chill vibe, a bluesy vibe to this album. I agree that some of the punchlines don't hit as hard, but they're still in there though, man. He's got some sick ones if you listen back to it. And again, I think you gotta, if you listen to it under the DJ Premier boom bap 90s element, then you're going to listen to it and be like, oh, it could have been harder. Go back and chill, give it a couple days, listen to it again, and listen to what he's saying. There's some gems in there. There's some gems. And like what was cool was when he was on Flex, when Royce went on Flex like last week or the week before, a lot of what he spit was some of the stuff from the album, but listening to it on a different beat, it sounded way harder. So totally agree. There's some good shit in here. It would be cool to hear some remixes if they do some harder beats to these remixes. That'll be super dope. What's up, Bobby? Thanks for hopping on, man. It's midnight, dog. Hey, we're talking hip hop, so I'm happy people are popping on. From a production standpoint, that's number 3. So production, tough one for me, right? A lot of what we were talking about right now. For me, production on this, I'm saying a 3.5 out of 5. And let me explain myself on this. I don't think, in my opinion, Premier took enough risk on this album. I think that because the sound was so different, because the samples he was playing with seemed to be more chill, seemed to be more laid back, more bluesy, I think he played it easy. That's my opinion on this. I think he played it easy. I would have loved if he would have taken a little bit more risk. I would have loved if he would have taken some of these more calmer, bluesy style samples and then amped them up a little bit. Like that would have been kind of cool and different. One of my favorite producers and good friends of mine, Joey Mapes, is known for that. Known for taking super chill, crazy, dope ass samples, and then all of a sudden they get really aggressive because of the way that he chops them up and because of the way that he layers in the drums. I think Primo could have done that more here. I think if he would have done that more here, it would have amped up some of the punchlines from Royce. It would have brought a little bit of a different feel to some of the songs on there. I think the song, the Wow song with Yellow Wolf, I think that was a little bit more of an aggressive beat. I think the song, the Respect My Gun song, that was a little bit there, but nowhere near where I think he could have taken some more risk. So I thought the production was dope. Don't get me wrong. I think the production was good. Yep, Era, exactly another example of a great song on there. That was more of that style. But I think he could have risked more on it personally. So I give the production a 3.5 out of 5 on that. From a replay value, again, I've listened to the album, I think 5 or 6 times at this point. I'm going to keep listening to it. There's some songs on there that I really, really enjoy. And there's some songs on there that, again, as I mentioned earlier, that bring me back to some of those 90s songs by the way that Royce approached them and called back to them in some of the ways that he was rhyming and some of the stuff that he borrowed. So like I'm going back to probably 5 or 6 of these songs that will be on heavy repeat. They'll be added to the Life of Lozo podcast playlist that's running live on Apple Music. There's been a lot of subscribers to that playlist, and I've been adding more and more to it as we've been doing more and more of these episodes. But there are some that are on there that I'm going to be dropping on that playlist because I'll listen to them over and over and over again. But holistically, as an album, 3.5 out of 5 on the replay, and that's just just above average, because again, there's a handful that I really, really, really enjoy, and there's some that I'll forget about probably quickly. Not that they're bad songs, not that they're trash or anything. Just a simple fact that there are some songs on here that I think separate themselves from the others that I'm a fan of. That and Loved Ones, Era, Flirt, Respect My Gun, Gotta Love It, Wow. Those are the ones that I'm gonna definitely be bumping. Everyday Struggle, those are the ones I'm gonna be hitting kind of hard, and then I'm sure I'll get that down to probably 3 or 4 tracks that'll stay on constant rotation. So 3 out of 5 on replay value, and then overall, I give this album bada bing. I give it 4 out of 5. That's my assessment on this. It's 4 out of 5. I'm really happy with it. Like I said, I know. Oh yeah, Black History. Joe, thank you, Casper, dude. I totally forgot about that. That song, Black History, to me, conceptually and lyrically and story, like that's maybe the best concept song on the album. You got to kind of be in the mood for it. So it's not like I'm gonna bump that song over and over and over again in the car where I'm gonna get some more replay out of some of the other songs on there. But that song, sick. I mean, absolutely disgusting. I didn't take a note of it because you and I talked about it on the phone earlier, and I was like, we're gonna go deep on Black History. So thank you for reminding me of that because I didn't bring it up. But that's a sick ass song, a sick ass concept, man. I'm a fan of that. Somebody else that did it reminded me of Bubba Sparks. Was it Bright Nights, Dark Days and Bright Nights, something like that? That was the album. That first track on that Bubba Sparks album where he talks about being on the airplane and flying and how nervous he is and what's going on and what he's thinking about and that, like, I love that introspective concept, and or telling the story, like real life stories of struggle and what's going on and what's in your brain and where do you come from. So Black History to me was a sick ass track, super dope. Again, I'll listen to it a couple times, not necessarily like a bump in the car replay, but a dope song. But it's one of the reasons why I give this overall album 4 out of 5. So, for me, PRhyme 2, I'm loving it. I'm going to continue to listen to it. It's going on the playlist. The couple things I would have loved to seen selfishly was Primo take a little bit more risk on some of the samples. Don't compare to Bubba Sparks. I'm not comparing PRhyme to Bubba Sparks. I'm saying that song, I enjoyed that approach to the song the same way that I enjoyed that way that Bubba Sparks did that intro to that album. Like, I can't remember the name of the album correctly. Like, I'm just saying that collectively. Hey, but you know what? You spelled Bubba Sparks correctly, so yeah, okay. Take that, right? Take that. It must make you a fan. But no, if Primo takes more risk, if Royce can throw in, I'm mad at somebody, and I'm gonna put it on wax as a single, on this upcoming album. I'm looking for PRhyme 3. Like, I'm excited for it. Who knows? Like, it might be a year away. But just they stick with this concept because the theme I think is super dope. You can't go wrong with the lyrics on Royce. Primo takes a little bit more risk, and we get a battle track in there somewhere. It might be the first ever Life of Lozo podcast 5 out of 5. So yeah, super dope. But hey, thank you guys for joining the show. I do apologize for not being able to get Casper on here on the picture-in-picture so we can live discuss it. We will figure that out for next time because, he's going to be on the show. We have some Golden Decade of Hip-Hop episodes that we still got to get done for years of the 90s. We got some other albums that I'm sure we want to review. Spoiler alert, Sean Mikes has been here at the lab. We got some episodes in on a new concept. We're bringing back Face Off from the old days. It's super dope. We got a couple episodes in. We're still working on some intro music for it and working through. But conceptually, we are talking about unsigned artists that we discover. I play a song for Sean for the first time. He's never heard it. He hears it live on the podcast. He gives us his initial reactions. Then we talk about why I'm a fan of that independent artist, what he likes about it. We pub them up. That's how it goes. The next episode, he brings the artist that he likes. That's an independent artist. I hear it for the first time, give my initial reactions. So it's a super cool concept. The shows are about 10, 12 minutes, nothing crazy. It's just on that one artist, on that one song. But we had a lot of fun recording some episodes already. We're trying to button up the last of the production on it. So it's going to be a lot more hip hop for Life of Lozo going forward. A lot more of these live shows going forward. We will definitely figure out this picture-in-picture concept as we go. But thank you guys for joining. It's been dope. This podcast will actually be recorded and podcasted immediately. So hopefully before 1 a.m. tonight, I'm going to get this thing live on Life of Lozo podcast so you can listen to the audio version of it. So thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Until next time, Life of Lozo. Ernie, what's up, dude? You hop on in the last second. I'm giving my shout outs to say goodbye. But all love, Ernie. Thanks for hopping on, brother. This episode will be going live on the Life of Lozo podcast. So check it out. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Outcast. It's everywhere. So thank y'all for tuning in. Thanks, Styles. I appreciate the feedback, brother. I'm going to get you on here, too, when we figure out this live Facebook video feed. And we're going to talk some hip-hop, brother. So thanks, y'all. Life of Lozo. I'm out of here. Peace. The Life of Lozo podcast is brought to you by Stay Tuned Studios, STS Podcast, The Taylor Shop Inc., 03 Productions, The Beat Brigade, PRhyme Designs Clothing, Ronz World Guitars, The Music Experience, Custom Shirts and more, Local Goods Market, The Art of Kyle Willis, The Josh Saman MMA Foundation, and of course, Jack's Nutrition. If you like the show, please subscribe, give us a like, give us a review. Tell all your friends and family. We appreciate y'all. Have a great week. And until next week, deuces.